Washington. Of course, a breach of peace. I'm being arrested. The content of what I'm streaming, I'm being arrested for breach of the peace. I'm being arrested for breach of the peace. You've all watched this. You've all watched this. You've all watched this. You've all watched this. Can you get me a solicitor? Can you get me a solicitor? Yes. Can you get me a solicitor? Yeah? Well, you're arrested because of it. Breach of the peace. Apparently, I'm inciting on my video. Since my activism started over a decade ago, the establishment, the police and the media have all been trying to take me down. The whole world saw me wrongfully imprisoned last year. 2.5 months on solitary confinement. What was the response by the media to that unlawful detention? They justified it. They lied to you. All of them reported that I pled guilty. None of them got the transcripts from the court. None of them reported the truth. We have a corrupt media. When I went to prison and 600,000 people signed a petition for my release, 30,000 people marched here demanding my release. When I come out of prison, I was completely unaware of the lengths that they were going to take me down. My PayPal was removed. That removes my ability to hire a team and work and bring you the other side of the story. My website was closed down, but I was completely unaware that Panodrama, the world's leading investigative journalist documentary, were working on a programme about me with the working title, Tommy Takedown. This was their final punch. They were about to discredit me to the nation, to you, the public. And I will prove that that documentary is not impartial, that it's scripted, that they invent things, that they lie, that they clip, that they edit. What you will witness in this documentary will prove to you this isn't about Tommy Robinson. This is about all the people that have been lied to, all the people who have been mislabelled, despite all their efforts to silence me. It become very apparent that something far more sinister was going on. With the collusion between the establishment, Panodrama, and the far-left extremist organisation called Hope Not Hate. You're going to hear about the tactics they use to get the narrative they want. In this documentary, you're going to hear a lot about Hope Not Hate. It's important to understand who they are. Hope Not Hate is a so-called anti-fascist organisation who formed in 2004. They formed from a group in a magazine called Searchlight. Nick Lowles, who now leads Hope Not Hate, was a lead member of Searchlight. In 1984, Searchlight worked alongside Panodrama to fraudulently edit footage which they were prosecuted or taken to court and sued for. They paid £1 million damages to Conservative MPs who they wrongfully edited footage to link them with far-right extremist groups. Hope Not Hate brand themselves as an anti-fascist organisation. They're there to tackle fascism. In reality, they label, slander and attack anyone who speaks out against open borders or against Islam. The worrying thing is they have a lot of influence. For example, all media outlets across the UK, across the world, take what they say as credible and they work hand in hand with them. From CNN, The Guardian, Huffington Post, The Independent, Sky News, Newsnight, Panodrama, The Metro, The Sunday Times. They even advise the UN. They advise counter-terrorism. In their advice to the UN, they say that our Day for Freedom demonstration that many of you would have watched was a far-right extremist rally. That's fake news, being given as credible information and taken as expert info by the UN. Our Day for Freedom demonstration had homosexual speakers, drag artists, black speakers, Asian speakers. There was nothing far right against it. It was a liberal demonstration demanding free speech.
So what happens is when someone gets censored on Twitter for some kind of for hate speech or for incitement to violence or engaging in some kind of terrorist communication, they get their account taken down. They tend to come back, and that actually leads to sort of an increased level of sense of participation and integration into these networks. So I do a lot of work looking into right-wing extremism in the United Kingdom and the United States. And one of the things that we've seen there is actually an entire mobilization of right-wing extremist activity around the concept of the freedom of speech being taken away from people. So just a few weeks ago in London, there was a march attended by a few thousand people that was called Day for Freedom, and that was entirely sort of centered around this issue of free speech and the sense that in a kind of parlance of the extreme right, the liberal establishment was trying to silence extreme right, legitimate conservative voices.
Just last year, Hope Not Hate were identified in a Swedish military report on left-wing extremist violence. It has been proven that Hope Not Hate exaggerated hate crime figures by 3,000%. Nothing they said after that point should ever have been taken as credible, let alone taken by journalists without checking anything and spread around the world to demonise and slander people and organisations. They play a key role in pressurising social media giants, whether it be with petitions or requests from MPs that they're working alongside with to say who's promoting hate. Not who's promoting hate that would breach laws in this country, but who needs silencing with their opinion. They're now teaching your children in schools about fascism. If we take a quote from their original spin doctor, Dan Hodges, from his quote you'll understand the tactics they use in this documentary. It was a no-holds-barred, bare-knuckle PR. We used every dirty, underhand, low-down, unscrupulous trick in the book. These are quotes from their spin doctor, Joe Moorhouse, who is a lead researcher for Hope Not Hate. He brags about days out with their BBC political reporters. Their relationship works hand in hand with the corrupt mainstream media. They do the reports, the media then use their ammunition and their labelling to attack people and organisations, to demonise them and slander them. In 2015, Joe Moorhouse used the hashtag Antifa on several occasions. The reason why this is so relevant is when you understand who Antifa are. Antifa are an organisation that leading members of the American government have called to be prescribed as a terrorist organisation. They balaclava up, they mask up, and they violently attack people who they're told to attack, and organisations which are highlighted to them by groups and organisations like Hope Not Hate. They find out who you are, they contact your work, anyone who steps above the parapet. Hope Not Hate's goal is to silence them and stop them. This is about stopping free speech. This is about having people too scared to speak. We'll speak with one gentleman now whose life has been completely changed due to him voicing his opinions. He broke no law, committed no crime. But wait till you hear what Hope Not Hate done to him.
This time last year, like I said, I was working full-time, happy, and because of some things I was doing outside of work, while I was sort of expressing my political opinions and so on, I ended up drawing their fire. And they wrote a report and called it in to the employer. So it was a kind of deliberate attempt to, it wasn't just to dox me, because I hadn't hidden my name, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, I was just expressing an opinion, but it was an attempt to deliberately get me fired.
Where was you working?
I was working at Standard Chartered Bank in Moorgate.
Doing what?
I was an associate, so I've been there from a grad. I went to Bristol University and then went into the bank straight afterwards. So I've been there for about just around 18 months at this point.
So a good career?
Yeah, it was going well. Internally, there'd been no issues.
When you say you got involved, you was giving your political opinions with regards to?
Obviously, the controversial stuff, so immigration, Islam, these kind of issues, but not in an extreme way, nothing you wouldn't happily say to anyone.
Just so we can get clear, we're not talking about committing a crime, we're just talking about speaking openly about immigration and Islam.
Yeah, and no one had a problem with it. That's the whole point that kind of strikes me about it.
So it's not like anyone made a complaint, nothing's happened, so what did Hope Not Hate do?
So Hope Not Hate, one of their, I can't remember which, but a team of their researchers wrote a small report. They were calling up multiple offices at the bank, and they're also focusing, because obviously we have a very big presence in the Middle East, so they were focusing on officers there to call them and just basically say, you've got this guy working for you, he's an Islamophobe, he's a racist, blah, 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 all of which obviously isn't true. I remember I was just sitting at my desk, and I get called in by the MD, and he sort of says, have you been saying this? And I said, yeah, I have. I didn't see it as a problem. The same guys were going to a lot of journalists trying to flog this report as well to make a big story out of it. Eventually, in around the summer of last year, you get this article. It's very vicious, and it's obviously largely lifted from the report that came out a few weeks earlier. You know, using slurs, using kind of nonsense labels, calling us Nazis, all that kind of thing.
Calling Nazis with any evidence? Was there
no evidence whatsoever at all. It was made up with a very clear intention of making me lose my job. And it is a common tactic.
You did lose your job?
Yeah, I was suspended, and then once the coverage happened, they obviously, whilst previously, like internally in the bank, I think it kind of thought, well, maybe this is just an attack piece. Once there was coverage, obviously, it's their reputation on the line. So then, pretty much immediately, I was fired. I have worked.
Just so the public understand this, you committed no crime. You speak outside of work about immigration or Islam with no hatred, just facts. And because of that, where are you now? How's your life changed? What do you see for your future now?
Financially very difficult, of course, because it kills your income. And then there's knock-ons from that are always a pain.
Okay, well thanks. I hope you wish you luck and try and get your life sorted.
Me too.
Very good luck.
Thank you.
So you've heard from Tom Dupree. You've heard how his life was changed simply for expressing his free speech due to the actions of Hope Not Hate. Later on in this documentary, you'll hear recordings of Caelan Robertson and George Llewellyn John to see how their lives have been affected. Caelan and George used to work with me at Rebel Media, and when I went independent, they come to work with me there. When I was released from prison, I met with them. They said that they'd been intimidated and threatened, and for that reason they couldn't work with me. I'd just been released from prison. I wasn't in a good state, and I thought they were just saying that because they wanted to go and work with Lauren Southern. Also, you'll hear recordings from Lauren Southern. Lauren Southern is a leading political activist from Canada. She now works as a journalist making documentaries. In those recordings, you'll hear about allegations about how they've suffered due to the actions of Hope Not Hate. So, I've been contacted by Lucy Brown, who's an ex-employee. The last time we spoke to each other, we were screaming obscenities at each other. Now, she's been contacted by Hope Not Hate and by Panodrama, who are working together on a project against me, work entitled Tommy Takedown. So, I'm on the way to see Lucy. I'm actually really concerned and worried about what it is they're up to, because I know everything they've tried to do to take me down hasn't worked. So, let's see what's next. Last time I spoke to you, I screamed some obscenities, some terrible things at the back.
So did I. I also have a surprise for you.
Go on.
I thought I'd commiserate it, so I actually got your prison number.
No, you haven't!
To remind myself the happiest day of my life.
What? HOA4CG?
Yeah, that's the
Oh
one.
my god!
Laugh my head off.
Oh my god! Shit, Lucy, you were fucking angry. How have we ended up sitting here? And what we think about?
Well, I received a very interesting email from one John Sweeney a couple of days ago, who is a big, BBC presenter for Panorama. Yes, apparently he's quite well known, and he's asking if I want to go for first it was a cup of tea, but then it was a pint. And he'll come all the way to Cambridge to see me, and I think he wants some dirt on you.
You was approached by Joe Mulhall?
Joe Mulhall, yes, Hope Not Hate.
So you approached by Hope Not Hate, who told you, I've seen what they've told you,
Yep.
they told you that there's been Tommy down.
There's a Tommy Takedown.
Tommy Takedown?
Yes, and they've been taken on as sort of advisors to BBC to help them with interviews and to get information about you.
How easy would it have been for you to...
They offered me £5,000 for a front page story about you being a twat.
What you could have done, you could have absolutely destroyed me, and my life, and my name,
Yep.
and my reputation. More so than that prison number did. More so than me going in prison could have done. Because you could have said anything, and they were wrong.
I've arranged to meet John Sweeney tomorrow at 2 p.m. And by the sounds of it, what these people do is they try and be your friend when you're vulnerable, and they ply you with drink, and they try to get you to say something that you wouldn't normally say.
I want to show if what Lucy could have done. Well, none of it will be factual, but what Lucy could have done. Now bear in mind, I might not have been here. You could have just done this. Fake text messages, falsify sender numbers of text. So if you wanted to, my phone will be here. Let's change the number there. We'll keep that as we said. Let's put my number. So you effectively, as a disgruntled employee who fucking got prison number tattooed on your wrist.
Joe Mulhall's just messaged me.
Let's take down something.
I'm broke, I've got no means of income, I hate you. Joe Mulhall's just messaged me saying I can get you some money to do Tommy in. So I can go to fakemytext.co.uk and I can make you text me, and then I can show.
No. My phone's here. I'm at home, minding my own business.
I've got Joe Morgan there.
Joe Morgan offering the takedown of Tommy Robinson.
Offering me some money, and you have said to me, what?
If you have anything to do with the Panodrama, I will fucking bury you. You bitch.
Hang on, because I'm writing YOU, but you write you.
I write.
Sorry. I just need to make up some bad grammar because.
Yeah, drop the T's because I don't know how to T.
I'm going to put W-I-V instead of with. With Panorama, you wouldn't make that a capital letter.
No, I put with. I put with.
Okay, right. There's Panorama dot.
If you have anything to do with Panorama,
I will fucking bury you, comma.
Bury you bitch. Just to prove, I can have nothing to do with this. I'm not. My phone's here,
Yeah.
so I've not sent you a message.
Yeah, so let's wait.
And the point is that they're actively searching with a far left organisation. They're actively working with my ex-employees to bring me down. What I want to prove here is how easy it is and how many other things in this documentary have been faked on me. If you had anything to do with this Panorama doc, I'll fucking bury you, you bitch. So I didn't send that. That's sent from my computer. My phone has not sent you a single message. Now, Panorama are the biggest investigative journalists in the world. So I don't see how this can work. If they wanted to do a proper investigative journalist piece, they should look at the crime that I committed. Was it criminal? Did the judge act out of law? Was I treated? Were my human rights abused? One of the biggest cases in this country's history in modern time. Yeah, 600,000 people signed a petition, 30,000 people marching, ambassadors from the American government, every political party in Europe talking about it. The most talked about court case in decades, but they're not bothered about it. This is fake. Yeah? This is going to be falsified. This is not me. And I want to see if this, by a disgruntled ex-employee, could make its way around the world.
I'd like to see how much power Vote Not Hate have over the world's media.
Yeah, basically. This is the little money. This will replace your button. This will go into your button anyway. This is how we'll record. And are you nervous? No, you should be. You should be. And well, let's just wait and see what we get from this. Time will tell. But good luck. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. See you later. Success?
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Let's see. Crazy? Crazy? Good? I'm good?
Lots of bad players consumed tonight. For the greater good.
What does matter?
We'll see.
You took it for the team. Only drunk for the team.
I did what I had to do.
Right.
Let's get these files sorted.
Let's work out what we've got. We've got lots of footage to go through. Straight off the crazy thing for me is, you're Steve.
Which is a champagne and a double head. And then we're going to red wine, but we'll tell us about that at the appropriate moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All expenses in a food with the dog at the fire.
Okay.
I think we should have one more bottle of beer. No expense spared. 2 brandy, 2 lemon shots. This is from the Cassis, or the Kia Royale. But even better is another version which is with blackberry, blackcurrant, liqueur and champagne. Kia Royale. Have you got any flaming Sunbury Cap? And then 2 Kia Royale. And then the bell. Lovely, thank you. Thank you very much. I think we've got to do a runner. This joke. It's fine. It isn't. I don't care. Normally, I really don't care. Service included. So make it 220. Thank you very much.
What's this this on BBC Expenses. How much alcohol's been consumed? I've heard him mention 3 bottles of wine, champagne, flaming Zambuca, all in 5 minutes. And you can hardly sit up. So, for me, that's an expensive scandal that we've paid, the licence fee is paying for. Should we be paying for you to this? Yeah, of course you think we should.
Me getting drunk is me being more lucid, and then I'll tell him stuff.
So he's wanting to get you drunk. He's using the expense money to get you drunk in order to get information.
Get me drunk, be nice to me, be my friend, and then I'll listen and be like, oh, I've got this recording, or, you know, I can tell you this, or whatever.
You may not like what I'm about to say, but one of my political heroes is the former head of the IRA, who turns the IRA
Nick Bowles?
No, not the guy got on well with the quiz. So there's 2 of them.
I should know that, but
Daniel Dan McGuinness, and he got on anyway. He was the IRA.
Hey man, I've heard the Irish have been genocided.
And last time when I was there, they're okay.
Martin McGuinness. His political hero is Martin McGuinness. Martin McGuinness leading the IRA. He's responsible for murder, bombs. It's a strange person to have as your political hero. From, well, I don't know, from someone who's trying to paint me as extreme anyway. That is the sole reason I wanted to do this. For me, that is terrifying. How can they get that? How can he say he can do that from that innocent conversation or argument or disagreement, which has got nothing to do with it? So that is the sole reason I wanted that footage, to see exactly what are, and that's terrifying for me to think, what the hell are they about to portray to this country? About what the hell are they going to say?
That's not the first time that's happened.
In what sense?
Because I told you about, I was offered £5 to do like a story on you, like a front page newspaper story.
I hope not hate, it's on bad picture.
But I was also...
I hope not hate who are working with these people.
Yeah, but I was also approached by a really mainstream newspaper, basically, to kind of make it out that you were like sexual allegations against me or something.
But they were approaching you for that. At a time when we fell out.
Yeah, they said when I was at my lowest and I basically didn't have a job and I was like, you know, a complete mess, and they were trying to like dig and get stuff out of me, and they were trying to make out that you'd done like a Me Too. They were trying to make out that you basically like abused me, and then they wanted to put it. They kind of ran with and went back to their editor. And then I called up and said, I really don't want this isn't true, you know, you've kind of twisted it to fit your own narrative here. And he said, well, I'm sorry, it's too late, I've already sent it to the editors, and they want to run the story, this journalist. So I then had to call up, like, you know, this national journalist kind of like lawyery thing where you can call up and complain, and I had to put in writing saying, please do not put this out. If you put this out, I'm going to have to, like, you know, go against you legally or something. So I had to fight to get this story out of the paper.
From a mainstream journalist, from a top tabloid,
big.
in order to portray me as an abuse, essentially.
Victim, yeah. But it wasn't true.
With no truth in it all. And that for my life, you know, the whole purpose in me wanting this, the whole reason why I've wanted to do this, is because I've been absolutely terrified of what they're doing. And that one little recording there, proves that they will change what I'm doing and saying. This is massive. This is Britain's leading investigative journalist documentary by the BBC that we paid for. Creating, editing news in order to destroy my life. Now, John Sweeney's been contacting me for weeks now for a gotcha moment where he can interview me and throw all these accusations from God knows who at me. Well, that gotcha moment is now in my hands, because I'm now going to sit down and I'm going to put these to John Sweeney to see how he justifies any of this.
Just before we start, when you start, I just wanted, because I am of fair and balanced I just wanted to take a couple of things up on you while we're here. Is that alright if we start?
Okay, but you're recording, I think, aren't you? You're recording, so after.
That's fine.
Okay. So we're not starting yet.
No, don't have something you're right. So, this is a panorama documentary. You wouldn't be working with an organisation called hell.cat.forever this documentary in order to find people's subjective opinions.
That's what we're doing. We're making a panorama documentary. The BBC went all the editorial.
Okay, so it's BBC, because it'd be quite strange for the BBC to be, how the BBC could be impartial in a documentary when hell.cat are an organisation who are funded specifically to destroy.
There are two separate entities. The BBC, I work for the BBC, this is the BBC panorama production.
Okay, can I just quickly show you something here? So what this is Joe Howell from hell.cat, and what he says in this message is that hell.cat are steering this documentary.
My name is John Sweeney, and I'm a reporter.
Okay,
John. Panorama.
Okay, John.
So what this other guy says, he's steering, he's not steering.
Okay, are you aware of any threats or blackmail that's been made to any of my ex-employees to give negative information about this?
Yes, you motherfucker!
Are you aware?
No, but we do
this comment.
We were basically threatened with the most horrendous shit you can possibly imagine for 3 months, constantly to do this, constantly. Because basically, why they have dirt on us is when we left Rebel. I don't know if I told you this, when we left Rebel, we were really fucking angry, and none of the media would take all the stuff we had on them. So Nick Close reached out to me on Twitter and he was like, oh, meet up with us. And we were like, oh, okay, like we weren't working with anyone then. So we were like, yeah, fuck it. And we met up with him twice. And we were like, oh, we can write a book on Rebel Media, we can write a book on how they scammed people and this and this and this and this and this. And we were like really conniving with them. One of the first things they started threatening us with, this only started 3 months ago. We had no contact with them between 3 months ago and leaving Rebel, nothing. They started messaging us saying, we need to meet you, this is really serious. And then when we met them, they said to George, I wasn't there, we're going to release all of the meetings that you've had with us, threatening Rebel Media, and talking shit about right-wing personalities and bitching about nothing serious, just any other house. And they're going to make you, and we're going to basically expose you. And also, we've got 6 signatures from the top trade unionist organisations in the country saying that they're going to come after you, and the government have opened a new department which we're advising on counter-terrorism, which are going to prosecute you for writing scripts which have incited the Darren Osborne terrorist attack. And it was like, they were basically like, you're going to fucking go to jail and you're going to get exposed for meeting with us if you don't work with us. This is what it all comes down to, this panorama fucking thing. And hell.cat were there standing next to the BBC producers.
When you went for the meeting with Panodrama, who from hell.cat was there?
Nick, Joe, John Sweeney, and the producer. So like, hell.cat were fucking terrifying, and they blackmailed us and they fucking used the whole thing to try and get into Caleb's hands. This is how bad it really was. When we pulled up in London, this was the day I dropped off the suitcase to you, right? That I went straight off from there, kind of where it was, to go and do this interview with them. They hired out this big car park warehouse thing. They had a little chair in the middle of it. I walked into this room, sat down. It was the cameraman, it was the head producer, it was Nick, and it was Joe. And then I started getting really nervous because she was saying, how much money, name numbers, name figures, and I was like, well, it was enough to pay for us to make videos, and all the money was spent on getting. And I was just saying vague shit. And then Joe said, can we stop the interview, please? And then I was like, okay. And then Nick went, can you come with us, Kaylin? And then Nick and Joe took me to the other side of the warehouse and said, Kaylin, you really need to give them more information than this. You really need to open up a little bit more because this is really not useful to them. They're probably not even going to use this. You need to go into specifics, you need to go into numbers, you need to at least show them something.
Were they threatening you at you?
I had a cigarette and we'll come back to it.
Were they threatening you then?
I had a cigarette and I went back and I sat down and I still couldn't really do it. And it was really bad. Like I was like shaking the whole time. That's when we told Panorama that we didn't feel that it was safe, that it was not okay, and that we were basically threatened.
Bit of a strange one here, lad. I know, sorry man, I know it's 4 o'clock in the morning here, but I've just got off the phone to Kaylin for an hour, yeah? How much have they told you about Hope Not Hate?
Not much, why?
You're aware they've been meeting with them regularly?
I've met Joe too before. Yeah, I know that Kaylin and George have met with them before.
Continually met with them? When you was doing your borderless documentary, Hope Not Hate flew out to Italy to meet them?
I don't know what they were talking about, but for the most part, like I think they're just afraid of that. From what I've been told, it's like they're like, oh, they're kind of blackmailing us, like hang out with us, or else we're going to get you guys arrested or whatever. So they just met with them.
So hold on a second. I work for Panodrama.
Why are you present in the UK?
I work for Panodrama, and we are doing a film about you.
Are you aware of that? Are you aware of the show?
Look at me. I'm the reporter and I'm asking you questions. Okay. Right. I get the point.
Are you aware? Let me ask you one question.
Okay.
Are you aware of the recent images sent by someone from Hope Not Hate to Kaylin?
I'm aware of the allegation.
You are.
I'm aware of the allegation, and I do not think it's credible or serious. If I'm wrong, you can put that information out there.
If somebody has been blackmailed, threatened, intimidated by an organisation, you're steering your documentary. Okay, we'll hear the next one. Play the next bit.
Made really inappropriate. I don't know how to describe it. Almost basically like a sexual assault situation towards me when I was really drunk, pretty much passed out.
Fuck you, man, this gets messier and messier.
No, hold on, yeah, okay, and I got really upset and I broke down and I told George about it last week because it's really fucked me up. And George messaged Nick and apparently nearly got suspended and it's fucking, it's a really big mess.
We'll come to Milan to see you. Who did you come with?
Nick.
You come with Nick, so Nick was with him?
Yeah.
And what did he do?
Nick wasn't there at that moment. Nick had got home. So we were filming with Lauren, and then they said you've got to meet us, you've got to meet us, you've got to meet us. So we flew to Spain via Milan, met them in Milan, literally just had a coffee with them, and they basically just carried on threatening us and said you've got to do skies or one mainstream media thing. And then I went back to London to drop something off to go then to Spain. So Kaylin was left in Milan for one night. Nick left that night as well, I think. And then this is when this thing happened. Kaylin said that he was basically really wasted and he thinks let himself into Kaylin's room. And basically, Kaylin kind of woke up and was half naked, trying to do stuff with him, and then Kaylin said no, and was like, oh, don't have to tell anyone, blah, blah, blah. And Kaylin's really found out about it. So this was 3 months ago, or 2 months ago. Kaylin only told me about it last week. So I messaged Nick saying, we need to talk, what the fuck is going on? And then Nick said that he's doing an investigation into it. George also messaged Panorama saying, guys, Hope Not Hate raped Kaylin.
Hi Joe, it's Tommy Robinson.
Oh, hi there, how's it going?
Well, not bad. Obviously you're aware I have a documentary coming out on Saturday. I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions quickly about your involvement.
Bear with me, I'm probably have to stay on the phone. I'll have to speak to a colleague before I can do this, I'm afraid.
So you can't just answer were you present during an interview with Kaylin Robertson and Panorama?
I'm not going to talk about anything on the phone.
Why not? Why not?
If you can't ring someone up, if you want to speak to me, you can drop me an email.
This is just your opportunity to counter what's being said.
I'm not going to answer any questions over the phone. All I've asked what's the issue there is you can try and answer it.
So, were you and Nick Knowles present during an interview with Caelan Robertson and Panorama?
All I've said everything I'm going to say to you, Tommy. I'm not going to answer any questions like that. If you want
just a yes or no. It's a simple yes or no.
Simply, look, Tommy, we're wasting time.
Okay.
We must ensure we avoid bias or an imbalance of views. Our output will be based on fairness, openness, and straight dealing. Contributors will be treated honestly and with respect.
There are people being intimidated with blackmail and getting negative reviews against them. The men who are doing it are present during your interviews, the same independent. Now, John, when it comes to fake news, you're John Sweeney, so I'm going to separate you from these allegations that are being made. There are allegations that are okay, so these allegations.
And there is no evidence apart from your words, their words, as to the substance.
Okay, and
we have it in our own day.
Okay, John, would you tell them what they have to say in the interview about me?
No.
No, play the next one.
We only, the BBC, we only do questionnaires. So here's, it's a volunteer army, and we're comfortable about it, so is there anything you don't want me to ask about? This is, I'm not supposed to ask this, I'm not supposed to ask this, I'm not supposed to ask this. So I'm going to ask you about, I'm going to take it through what I want from you, the following. Simple two steps. One, people like us, the BBC, the establishment, have not listened to what Tommy's been saying, and that's bad. And so the extent to the entire conversation about Islamism, extremism, about what that means for ordinary Brits up and down the country, closing that down, shutting it off as places for stop is wrong, and that goes in the camp, and you say that, and that's what I hear on the show. The second thing is, but for something, my own personal experience was difficult, because I was in a good trooper, and then suddenly I was thrown to the dogs. But as a human being, he's funny and charismatic, and can be great company, and he's not your narcissist. Number three, partly because of the pressure, partly because of the chaos, you fall out. It's horrible in terms on the line. Those three elements, and those three elements will appear in the show.
He has.
Heel. We have a proper ding dong.
Okay. There's a lot of people there.
And the good stuff, your stuff goes in.
So there you are.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying, I'm putting after a long conversation, which you haven't done.
I've got you 6 times telling that individual what they must say. Now let's go to the next one.
Make it sexualized, so he wanted to make it out like he basically Harry Weinstein me.
Oh my God.
Because you're like a position of power.
And you're
and all this shit. And I was like, yeah,
so when I'm being told, this isn't about you, when I'm being told that journalists are approaching me,
sorry, I don't understand the one.
I'll tell you one second. This specifically is not about you. When I felt sick, because I found out that journalists were offering money to try and get a young girl to do a Harvey Weinstein story with you. Now, you're Panorama, you're John Sweeney, so let me play the next clip.
I call him like a silly little man and stuff. I'm just shouting at him.
We love that.
It was quite bad.
Do we have that? I'll drop you in it.
I'll have a think. It will drop me in it. Everything will drop me in it.
Not necessarily.
It was really bad. We had this great big argument in Woburn High Street. Yeah, maybe. I suppose that I did give to the lawyers, and they said, well, actually, this for the case doesn't really work because you're just having a dispute. It doesn't really whatever. But I thought I'd record it just in case. Maybe I'll do that. It's only audio. It's only audio.
That's fine. How angry did we get?
He gets really angry and then he runs away and gets in the car and drives off. I shout after the car. It's really bad.
We can put that bit. We can put that bit. We can put that bit. My view about that is that I think doing a kind of that kind of gender, that kind of sexual thing against the person I was looking to them was worried about whether she would be identified. Now clearly that tape is now in your hands, so we can see that she's working something.
You said she was clear.
No.
Do you have any idea what implications? You tried to turn law argument into a sexual matter.
No.
This is what I'm telling you. Do you understand the implications? I've got 3 young children. Do you think you destroy man's life? Because this is what you were planning on doing.
No, you misunderstand me. So what I was trying to do was to say to that source that if necessary we would change her gender to determine, for example, is or a man. I've done it on regular occasions where I have probably...
So you don't realise I've got all of this text? You're hanging it. You're hanging it.
So John says I'm misrepresenting him, and in fact he was telling her he could change her gender so she could not be identified. Let's just hear that clip again.
I call him like a silly little man and stuff. I'm just shouting at him. Yeah, but
Oh, we're not done.
it was quite bad.
Do we have that? I'll drop you in it.
I'll have a think. It will drop me in it. Everything will drop me in it.
Not necessarily.
It was really bad. We had this great big argument in Woburn High Street. Yeah, maybe. I suppose that I did give to the lawyers, and they said, well, actually, this for the case doesn't really work because you're just having a dispute. It doesn't really whatever. But I thought I'd record it just in case. Maybe I'll do that. It's only audio. It's only audio.
That's fine. How angry did we get?
He gets really angry and then he runs away and gets in the car and drives off. I shout after the car. It's really bad.
We can put that bit. We can put that bit. We can put that bit. My view about that is that I think doing a kind of that kind of gender, that kind of sexual thing against
We can do a kind of gender, a sexual thing against Tony Robinson. Nice try, John.
We should not present invented material as facts or knowingly do anything to mislead our audiences.
I've done 10 years worth of demonstrations. I've got cameras on me absolutely everywhere. And what they've been trying to expose me on is possibly that I'm a racist or I'm a homophobe or something like that. I had you undercover for one boozy lunch, and you were repeatedly racist.
Let's do a cat too.
I pre-booked because the dog actually loved it.
Right.
You know why, don't you?
Wine?
Because...
Oh, wine?
Yeah. Asian camp drivers don't like taking dogs.
How dare you? How dare you? Where's my phone? Say that on camera, right? Racist.
True.
So this is the first one. So then you are generalised to this.
And I regret those words said, but the context is simple. That I had a real world experience like that. was a court case in today's papers where an Asian taxi driver lost his life. He was a refused carry. You're doing exactly what your channel does over you. You're blaming an entire continent. But let's face it, Islam believes God trumps so Muslim taxi drivers about locals. But you have stereotypes of the entire continent. Then that wasn't enough for you. You want to then have a go at the Greeks.
It always goes down well. He's which is thank you in Turkish. You can't bother to fish off a Greek yourself, speaking Turkish. I don't know, anyway, never mind. I get the food quite fun.
You find it funny going to that invasion of the country where women on pension rates and other. You find that funny? No, John. So you're upset with my community because you find it funny to speak in Turkish because you find that funny. None of this is fun. None of this is fun. None of this is fun. Play next one.
Okay, but
play the next one.
I have a little more than most
Yeah.
Scumbag Irish background.
Scumbag Irish background. So why have you a scumbag Irish background? Because they're all of mine. I'm talking about myself. You said you have more in common with me. You have more in common with me. Okay. A scumbag Irish background.
Insecure. That's right. So what you say? Insecure. So I'm very, very proud of my heritage.
My background is a scumbag to you, though. It's a scumbag.
I'm very proud of my heritage. If you get somebody like me talking to a source, and actually that source is in fact a mole working for Tommy Robinson, you then, in the context of a 2-3 hour conversation, there will be moments where jokes happen.
But you've been written up by Antifa, or other Antifa was somebody you've been in bed.
Those people are brainwashed.
And they're lefty people, they're lefty people.
Self-hating whites.
I'm going to call them honky.
How do you use the racial? How do you use the racial? You call them
this is a conversation with your source. In what I'm going to do, this is
you're trying to label me, and what's happened is in 1 afternoon, in 1 month's time, you've been, okay, let's talk about homophobia. Let's talk about homophobia. Good. You seem obsessed with that. So you have an obsession, but then you ask if Joe Morgan's gay, right?
Because they've not gone out and just had a mate that's gay. That's the difference. So you've got people working like all these different places in the UK or whatever, and they're sort of, they've not just had a gay mate.
Have they never met a conservative then?
I remember one line in particular. She said, "What do you think about LGBT or something?" And I said, "Well, some of the stuff that gay people say is just ridiculous." And that's me being the way.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with them. So that's some of the words I get.
Probably, that's the way that I would speak to Kaylin. You know, that's the way that I would speak to Kaylin in a bar. You know, like.
Because they should be short.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, obviously.
No, I know. Did you say?
No.
Good.
That's the thing, because unbeknownst
I would say that, by the way. I would.
What are we talking about? Oh yeah, Joe's dick pics.
Is he gay? Oh my gay dance, rubbish. Please alert the Betty Watkins. Please alert the Betty Watkins. Please alert the Betty Watkins.
The best man win.
Yeah. That's a bit weird.
Jindobe.
I'm not like that.
Presenters, reporters and correspondents are the public face and voice of the BBC.
That's the most derogatory term you could use for homosexuality.
My oldest friend at university is gay.
Is that okay to use the terminology Is that okay?
It's not great.
Is it okay, John? It's one of the most derogatory terms.
It's not derogatory, but the idea that I'm not
Let's get down to the reason. Let's get down to the reason that you and all of the media, you're trying to destroy me with a blackmailing. You're blackmailing people. Okay. You're lying. You're blackmailing or extra blackmailing people who are in your meetings, in your interviews, whilst young men are being You've just heard people making allegations. I'm not a man making allegations. You've heard those are witness statements to my solicitor. Now let me go to the next one. Let me go to the reason why. Let me go to the reason why. You can't hear us in there.
Because it puts me on the end of the reception.
Let me go to the next one.
I want to know.
Okay, let me go to the next one.
Okay.
This is the reason. So now everyone understands the reason why nearly the classes elite. Am I accountable? Let me play the next one.
I read that Danny was, I was working on some film on Newsnight, and Danny was in his green room, and it was unusual to meet a white working class male in the Newsnight green room, and I was in the same way.
Who's normally in there?
Sorry?
Who's normally in there?
It was so unusual for being one of my mates. We were down there to have a drink with him in the way that you would do with somebody from the, a cannibal from the Amazonian, from Amazonia, or maybe a creature from us.
So working class white males is a cannibal from the Amazon. That's what you said.
Okay, so wait a second.
You are a classist elitist. The way you view working class people is a disgrace. The reason we have the problem we have is because a journalist like yourself, from the background you're from, sneering down upon our community, sneering down thinking you're better than us, and then you just...
My understanding of the Labour Party today is they're almost like running, I don't know, activists.
Well, the point is, you hear much more accents like yours and mine, rather than Tommy's.
So the Labour Party, you have accents like yours you have to do rather than fuck off. You need the working class vocabulary, you simply fuck off. That is your class. No, sorry. What I'm doing is what I'm doing here is I'm exposing you as a slicing power. And right now, son, because right now,
so this text was sent to us,
yes,
and this is the text from that source who's on that video.
Okay.
And the text is from you. If you had anything to do with this panorama,
this would be, so right now, this would be known as a documentary that would be aired to the private public. It wouldn't be. As I expected, they did not bother to verify the authenticity of that fake text message in their hunt to take me down. John says he would give me the right to reply, to which I would say it's fake. But a fake allegation that I threatened to murder my ex-female employee would effectively be aired to millions of people across the world. And I'm certain every national newspaper would run with the headline, Tommy Robinson threatens to kill female employee. I wanted to prove, and I've just proved, how easy it is for fake news to be created and for people to be targeted and their lives destroyed. My solicitor is Korean, a court injunction against you. Okay, This is fake news exposed. Okay? John, what's the thing? I never sent the position this time. This time, it wasn't sent from the phone, I didn't send it.
Oh, yeah, hold on, it wasn't sent from the phone, I didn't send it. Is this a lie?
You'll be able to catch all the money. You'll be able to catch all the money.
No, we have now started.
We're finished. No, we have finished. You're finished. In fact, John, you finished your career. You finished your career. I know something. I know something. How much are we up?
I'm not
and not everyone to destroy my name. We
input from some people, including your spies. How are you questions? Not
you are fake news. You're fake news.
No. You've been proving you told us a lie. And you, sir, are the source of the lie. The idea that I'm homophobic, that's not true. This man has lied to us repeatedly. So, hold on.
Once this goes live, which it's going to, outside your offices on the 23rd of February, I'll get all the evidence.
What you do is you threaten people. It's all evidence. You always threaten people. And the hate.
Don't talk about hate when you're calling people worthless. Oh, you are sorry. What about, are you sorry to the Greeks? Are you sorry to the Irish community? Are you sorry? You didn't know that a Greek woman by speaking to her. You didn't know. You said you found it funny. I didn't know. It's on camera. It's on camera. No. You said you would sexualise. You said you would sexualise my comments that were innocent. No. Yes, you did. You're on camera.
No, I didn't. Well, anyway, this is a lie. Good luck with your injunction. We haven't finished on Panorama. And stop threatening. You shouldn't threaten Julia Redner. You think I'm finished? I've got another thing coming. And I can give you that for free. Okay? Good. Go and find a lawyer. I've already been to I've already been to lawyer. I've already dissected every one of your comments. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. What you've done is read the worst possible thing on it. I can defend every second of it. Yes, I can. And I will. All I'm saying
the establishment, you work for the establishment.
None of these people are the establishment.
You're working with Home Hate, you're working with the government, and you're all going against
I'm not working with the British government.
This is a campaign.
I understand some of the anxieties that you have. I get it.
Why would you be creating? Why would you tell someone what to say about me? Why would you tell them?
I didn't do that, and you're mischaracterising me.
You didn't do that. Everyone's going to watch this.
No, I know everybody's going to watch it, and it will be good fun. But more people will watch it on their own.
You find telling please, this is my life job. It's my life. You find it fun. You find it fun to tell someone that an innocent comment is sexualised. Do you know what that does to my family? Do you know what it does to my children? Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing to my family? You have no idea what you're doing to my family. If you'd have got away with what you were trying to do to me, you'd have ruined me. You'd have broken my marriage. You'd have broken my marriage. What you've done is, there's only one journalist in this room, John, and it's not you. Okay? You are a disgrace. And in fact, anyone who's been taken down by Panorama, anyone has to challenge now, because there is no integrity in any of the work you've done. You are a liar, you're a fraud, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, all in one evening. No, I've exposed you, okay? You were trying to destroy my life. You have been contacting people. Why were Home present? Why were the leaders of that George Soros organisation? Why were they present during the interviews of that person which you were going to be part of the relationship? Why were they present? If this is how I'm not mentioned, why were Home present? This is an establishment attack on me and your part. And you've been exposed to the world too. We've seen the BBC, who pride themselves on being impartial and reporting the truth. You've witnessed the main man from Panorama telling someone what to say, brokering a deal on what they have to say about me. Now, if he's broken a deal with her, who else has he broken a deal with? Who else is being told what to say? They're scripting the documentary. They're also creating and inventing news. Sexual thing against Tommy Robinson. What else? When we've got two other people saying they're being blackmailed in order to give negative reviews of me. Who else would have participated in this documentary? What else was going to be said? What other lies and manufactured evidence would there have been on this documentary? You've seen the contempt they have for the working class. The contempt they have for you, the licence fee payer. You pay your licence fee, and if you don't, you're taken to court. Just so the elitist, fake news journalists can travel this country drinking champagne on your expense. Now, if there's one thing that symbolises the BBC, we all know about the fake news. I've just proved to you that they create the fake news, that it's not impartial, that they work with far-left extremist organisations. That's been proven. If there's one thing that symbolises them, the BBC covered for Jimmy Savile. They covered for Stuart Hall. Up to 100 children were raped and abused, many of them on the property of this organisation. Let me show you this statue. That is at the entrance to the BBC. That statue was sculptured by a man called Eric Gill. Eric Gill was a paedophile. He raped his own daughters. He had sex with animals. He had an incestuous relationship with his sister. When the Catholic Church became aware of this man's crimes, they removed and covered all sculptures made by him. The BBC refused to. They were asked to, but they refused to. If you have disgust now, and you're fed up with paying for this, or for the propaganda they use against you, for the negative portrayal of Brexit, if you're fed up with all of these things, what can you do? I'll show you what I'm going to do, and I hope you follow my lead. You can legally not have a TV licence in the UK. You do not have to have it, okay? None of us ask the BBC to come into our homes and display their programmes on our TVs. If you're fed up of paying their propaganda, you don't even watch their shows. You can follow the steps I'm about to take you through now to end them. There's a few things you need to know once you've filled out these forms. It's a myth that the BBC can sit outside your house and detect that you're watching TV. That is a myth, it's not true. If the BBC TV inspector knocks at your door, you can. Be polite, you should be polite. You can open your door, say I don't need a TV licence, I haven't got one, goodbye, I don't watch live TV. That's it. They have no rights to come into your home. It's obvious that if a TV licence inspector walked past your front window and you had your curtains open and you were watching Panodrama on BBC, I don't think you will be. If you're watching BBC, they will fine you. But you do not have to have a TV licence. And I'm going to take you through the steps. I'm going to ask, please follow these steps now. Follow exactly what I'm about to do. Go to www.tvlicensing.co.uk. You'll find a link, declare no licence needed. Upon clicking this, you'll be brought to another page where they try to convince you need a licence, even though you legally don't. Ignore that and click the button that says, tell us you don't need a licence. Step 1, select the type of property you live in. Complete name, email and phone. Step 2, enter your property address. Step 3, tick the 3 boxes for the declaration. You will then be asked what date you want to start watching live TV again. Tick the button to the right where it declares I have no plans to do this. Then click the reason for not needing the TV. Sorry, but John Sweeney is not an option. Step 4, review and confirm, click submit. You are now licence free. Congratulations, you've saved £155. You can now afford to go to the pub and celebrate. I know. How about champagne and double gin? Then some red wine. 2 brandies, 2 limoncellos. Creme de cassis, Kia Royale, blackcurrant liquor and champagne, flaming Zambuca, and 2 Kia Royales. Enjoy.